Hi designers, in this video you will learn more specifics about how the shape tool works and how to combine shapes to create your own custom shape. Pretty cool. So I have created this snowman and I'm beginning to create a pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern. And what's neat about this is that I will be able to save this custom shape by defining the custom shape at the end of the process. This box pops up and I'm able to make my snowman. And then if I were to go to my custom shape tool and the library of the custom shapes at the top of my options bar, I now have that snowman that I just created saved in the library. So I could reproduce the snowman over and over again. I could make him any color that I would want because remember, when you are making this custom shape, um, it's kind of like a cookie cutter or a rubber stamp, right? You're creating this shape and you can change the fill color later. You can make as many of the shapes as you would like, and it's saved in the library, so it's just there. All right, so to start off for this process, you will want to make a new document. So go to File, New, save this document with your last name, first name, 3.2 custom shape. You want the width to be 16 by 16 inches. Be sure that you are using inches, not pixels. 200 pixels per inch for the resolution and RGB color mode. Okay, go ahead and create. Now in this document, let's go ahead and use the paint bucket tool to fill the background just with any solid color. And I'm going to start off by building my snowman. So I'm going to go to my toolbar and choose the ellipse tool, which is found underneath the rectangle tool. And again, it does not matter what color you make the fill color. You can change that later, right? Anytime that you're creating this custom shape in the future, but I'm just going to go ahead and make it white so that the contrast I can see really well against this teal background. Now you'll notice that the shape tool has three functions. There is shape, where we see the color being filled in, right? We could also work with it with just the path. That's drawing the line where the pixels are going to be filled in. But remember, if you worked with this in the path is not something that's actually printed out from a Photoshop file. So, and there's also the function to work with pixels. We want to work just with shape today as the shape mode. Okay, so I have my ellipse tool, and you'll also know that there's a couple of options or functions when creating new shapes. There's new layer, and this is what we have pretty much always done in the past. This creates each shape on its own layer. There's also combine shapes, subtract front shape, intersect shaped areas, and exclude overlapping shapes. We're primarily going to work with combine shapes and subtract front shape today. So my first shape I'm sticking with making it on a new layer. So you see I have my background layer and this new layer that says ellipse. I'm going to go ahead and rename this layer. So I do a slow double click and I'm calling this layer snowman. And then I'm going to build the rest of my snowman by combining shapes. So I hold down Shift and I make a circle. I'm still on combine shapes in the options bar, so all three of these circles are made on the same layer. And then I'm able to use the path selection tool, which is the black arrow, to move the circles or the body of my snowman, so I could adjust it if it's off center. If I were to use the move tool, this would move the entire shape. So that's why I'm using the path selection tool to kind of move individual parts. All right, the next thing we want to think about is cutting away from the snowman or from our rubber stamp or cookie cutter. And so we are going to make the eyes for the snowman, and let's choose an interesting shape from the custom shape gallery. So if I go back into the custom shape gallery, I could choose any shape, but for my snow person today, I'm going to choose this sort of flower shape. So I've chosen my flower shape, and I'm going to subtract front shape. I will go undo set operation so that the head of the snowman is still there. And then I draw this circle, and I can see it a bit better if I zoom in. So there I see the path of this sort of flower shape, and I see the teal color behind it. Now I want to emphasize that I did not draw a teal flower, right? If I'm looking at the fill, it's still white, but I'm seeing the teal background because I have chosen subtract front shape as my shape function. So I'm seeing the background through this snowman. I'm going to go back to the path selection tool, and if I hold down Option on my keyboard and click on this flower, I can duplicate it. It's the same exact size, and it's also subtracting from the snow person's head. Great, so now I'm going to choose another shape from the custom shape gallery for my snow person's nose. And I think I will look for maybe a triangular shape. Again, I'm going to set my shape function to subtract front shape. And I'll cut away from the snowman's face. I'm going to repeat this step to create the snow person's mouth. So I think I'll go back to that flower shape. Again, double checking that I'm on subtract front shape in the options bar. And this whole time, really important, I'm working on one layer for my snowman. Now, I've noticed that if you hold down Shift when you're creating a shape, if you're trying to subtract it from the front shape, say you were trying to draw this flower design really proportional and hold down Shift, that does not work well to subtract the shape. So I would just kind of eyeball it as you draw it rather than holding Shift while you want to subtract the front shape. It does not work to hold down Shift. Cool, so I'm holding down Option and I'm creating more of those circular shapes. I can continue to build onto my snow person. I could add to him again by choosing combine front shapes. Again, I'm going to undo set operation because I wanted that last part of the smiles to still be there. But I'm going to go back to my ellipse tool. I'm combining the shapes. I'm going to begin to build his hat. And I'll choose the rounded rectangle tool again to combine shapes. Build the top of his hat. I could build his arm several ways. I'm going to go ahead and use the rectangle tool. And I begin to make the sticks for his arm. And I can use the direct selection tool, which is the white arrow below the black arrow, which is the path selection tool. So I'm using the direct selection tool. This gives me even more control and allows me to adjust these points along the path. So I'm moving this point up for the arm and another point up so I can make kind of an interesting angle for that line. And then I'm going to switch to the path selection tool, hold down Option on my keyboard, click on that arm to duplicate it, and then to adjust where the points are, I use the direct selection tool. It looks like a white arrow, and I can adjust the path. Okay, when you're happy with what you have done for your snow person, And you can make any details that you'd like. You might make buttons or a ribbon on the hat, or perhaps a crown that he or she is wearing. You want to select the snow person with the path selection tool. So make sure you are on this layer as that snowman, right? This will not work if you're not on that layer. And I am on the path selection tool. I have clicked on the snowman. I am pressing Control click on my keyboard, and define custom shape is the third option down. So I'm going to name him Snowman 2 because I already have Snowman 1 in my gallery, and then he will be in my custom shape gallery. You can check this while you're working on the process to see that define custom shape is bold, that it's not grayed out, and that means that you're really creating this process properly, and that all of the steps are kind of lined up. You could also go to Edit, and you'll see define custom shape as an option there. So either way creates the same thing. Great luck with your snowman.